All right, I'm so excited. I got one sad news, but I'm also still excited. So I'm wanting to build Scrappy so bad, and I've been working on it. I just don't have anything really cool to show you because I keep changing how I want to do it. I want to go even more wild on the motor. So I'm kind of been redrafting, redrawing, recreating. So I have a whole lot of paperwork that would not be fun to show you. I haven't done a lot on Scrappy. And I'm going to Alaska, which is so awesome. I have never gone bush flying in Alaska. It's a bucket list. I've never competed in Valdez, and that is so exciting to me. I can't even stand it. I've met all kinds of people online in Alaska. I can't wait to meet them. So I had to make a decision. Do I start cutting more metal on Scrappy, or do I do the upgrades I want on Draco for Alaska? I've got like 7 days to do it all before I leave. I want more range. I want a better angle of attack. I also want more suspension, but there's just no way I'm gonna be biting off more than I can chew. Beef up and strengthen my horizontal. I gotta stop talking on this video and get my butt to work so I can jump in a plane with my best friend Ron Clark and go all the way across the world to hang out with some bush flying buddies. So back to work. All right, this is the starting point right here. This thing, I've got it so we can roll it, but this block of aluminum weighs 375 pounds. We're gonna turn it into a wingtip. Crazy. There's the part getting close to being done. I'm actually milling in the fence at the same time around the entire wing. So I've got Draco's current wing on this side, and on the underside, hiding under there, is the shape of the new wingtip extension, which is a slightly different shape. All right, so I'm cutting out my new adapters to attach my new wingtips I'm building for added fuel. And this bucket was empty when we started. This is the third drum we have filled up. We started with a 375-pound block of aluminum, and we're gonna end with a 9-pound part. So we got a lot of cutting to do. All right, what I'm doing here is I've designed my new gas tank area. This is the whole wing. I'm gonna carve this out of foam and then lay it up layer by layer. So the little trough right here, that is the low point of the fuel tank, so I can drain it right to the bottom. All right, so let me tell you what I've been working on. Started this yesterday, last night. The horizontal on Wilgas are really loose. The verticals are really solid, but the horizontals, if you wiggle right here, it actually drives me nuts. All aircraft do if you go full throttle with your brakes on. You can watch even a Cirrus, a really well-built plane, that tail will move like that, but this one moves too much. And the problem is they did a great attach point back here, a big support strut at the back, but in the front right here, they have one tiny AN3 bolt that holds the entire front of this horizontal. So it has way too much movement for my liking, and it showed itself up after years of the Wilga being out. They came out with an AD to continually inspect that single bolt. There's so much movement right there that it fatigues the aluminum and they crack. So it's a part of an annual ongoing inspection. So I'll keep the inspection going, but I'm gonna fix it so I never have a problem with it. The way to do that is to convert this wing and support it like you would a main wing on a bush plane, like a Cub. So instead of just one triangulated one brace right here, this brace stops the movement this direction only, but I can shift, this tail can rotate this way and it can actually oscillate. So to fix that, I added this bracket right here, and I added this bracket right here. Machined this up yesterday, and then I'm gonna connect these 2 points right here. When I connect this up to here, I'm coming up on a triangle, and I'm triangulating this. So it's a teeny bit more drag. Draco's not gonna care. So I've got 2 brackets done, they're installed. I turned these up last night real quick. I made these out of just solid aluminum rod. This is just 065 aluminum. You can see that will just insert in there. And then I made these. These can insert into here. And these will attach to their brackets that are on there. So I'll put these all the way in. There'll just be a few threads showing and a lock nut. But this, I can now cut, put another one on this end, and after I get that done, I'll make an airfoil on the back. So this is a really fast project. Part of one evening, a couple hours this morning, I'll have this up and flying, and we'll lock this tail up. I'm getting ready to go to Alaska. It's right around the corner, so I'm gonna quickly knock out a couple of wingtip extensions. There's a leg going from US over Canada into Alaska. I don't wanna have to stop and do customs twice on each direction. So I'm gonna enlarge my fuel tanks. It can already make the hop, but if there's a big strong headwind or I got weather or this or that, I just don't wanna be landing with a half hour or an hour just in minimums. I wanna have a couple hours of spare fuel on board. So I'm gonna make bigger wingtips. I was at one point going to do 3 foot longer wings when I originally built Draco. The stress loads of the original design couldn't handle it. So these are just going to be about 2 feet longer. And then to handle the stress loads, I'm going to lower my gross weight whenever I'm running these wingtips. So I can't throw in 4 people, all big men and all their bags, but I can still carry 4 people. And if they're lighter people, some bags as well. So I got to adjust a lot of math, but let's make some wingtips. What we've got, I made this the other day. This is a extension. I can pop this off, unscrew it, slide it off, and then quickly install these bigger gas tanks. So these are wingtip extensions with enlarged tanks. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start laying up e-glass down this side, wrap it over, slide this down, do another one, wrap it over. So there's lots of little glass ribs all the way down. Now, you can't get carbon fiber or fiberglass to bond to aluminum and expect it to stay. It works for a minute, but then big temperature changes. Glass, carbon, and aluminum do not expand at the same rate. Glass and carbon, similar. So what happens if I take off here, and I go to 28,000 feet, which Draco is capable of, it could be 110 degrees here, 50 below, 0 up there, and it's not if, but it's 100% certainty. The e-glass bond, chemical bond to the aluminum, the expansion rate will change, and the two will shift, it'll pop, and the e-glass will come off the aluminum. So you can see all these holes I drilled down here. That's so that I can actually have a physical bond. The way that's gonna work is the e-glass is gonna go down and bridge over those holes, but resin and glass will dip into each of those. That's one form of bond. As we layer it up, it'll get thick, and then those won't be able to pull out of that. There'll be another piece of fiberglass on the backside. The two will dent in and touch each other so that they're pinching the aluminum in between. Then I'm gonna go a second level beyond that, since this is a fuel tank and it's I want it permanently attached to the aluminum, is then I'll go through, I'll do several layers, then I'll rivet them together when it's just e-glass. Then I'll go back over and I'll add carbon fiber to the whole thing. So I'll have a hole bond with e-glass on both sides of a hole connecting in the middle, and then I'll have a riveted bond, and then I'll have the carbon fiber layer. When it's done, it won't matter how much they expand and contract, that chemical seal will pop, there'll be a hairline in there, that's normal. The actual connection will be rivets and the pass-through holes. So that's how we're connecting it. It's a lot overkill. That's the only way I feel comfortable on a wing. So we'll be able to take this wingtip on and off with aluminum fixed points. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start laying this up, and we'll get one of these tanks out of the way and get the other one done soon. Back to work. All right. That is a slow process, but I'm almost done. Kind of show you how I've been wrapping this up. Coming over here, you can see what I want is I'm having some e-glass between every single layer. So the way I've done that is I put on a layer of the foam, I lay a sheet down, pull it tight, peel it off, peel off the plastic. This is the plastic pill ply. Wrap it down inside. That hole down inside there is the gas tank. And now I can just smear this down So I got a lot of cleanup work to do. I'm gonna have to go through, use a brush, dab all the air bubbles out of it. So by the time we're done, we'll get all the air bubbles out of it. I'll get it all dabbed in with a brush with resin on it. We're gonna let it sit. That's just the start. It gets us all our little ribs between every single layer of foam. At that point, I can actually dip this in acetone and eliminate all the foam core and save another about 2.5 pounds. I'm not gonna bother doing that, but you could, because the E-glass is going between the foam and down. It's basically making a separate fiberglass square box over and over and over all the way up. So I got a lot of work left to do. I'll finish the last layer, get ready to cap it. Tomorrow we'll sand it, prep it, clean it, put a thin layer of micro on it. Then I'll carbon fiber it in big giant pieces. I can get that on, I can bag it and make it really tight. That'll be the structure. This is the starting point, but when it dries, none of this will move. So I'm about to the point where I can drag these out. They don't need to be in there, they're unnecessary weight. I covered these in wax so I could drag them out. But I'm about 50% done. One more to go. Back to work. So Draco's been flying and it has been perfect. But like any build I've ever done, there's always something I want to do a little different. And this time I didn't need to do it, but it just makes life easier. I put in a really fun filtration system, and when I say fun, it's because I feel a lot safer. I pulled the cowling off, opened up the filter box, and I can't believe how much dirt and dust and weeds were in these filters. I didn't need to clean them yet, but I wanted to look at it anyway. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it takes a couple hours to decal the plane, pull it all apart to do the filters. I don't want that to deter me from replacing or cleaning filters more often. So this is what I decided to do. There's two brand new giant holes in the plane. This is a challenge because I didn't want to repaint the whole cowling. So I had to cut this out freehand. Then I flipped it over. I put new layups. I put these lips on it on the inside here with these nut plates. And I built a removable bottom. Instead of servicing the filters from the top by pulling the cowling, I can actually leave the cowling on the plane. I got the original plates that used to be there. I've got steps in it. And now, as long as I know how to read vest tugs, I can tell which way these go on. And these simply go on like that. So now I can do the cowling, the filters real fast, pull the screws, pop this off, pull out all the massive filtration system, replace them, put this back on. I don't even have to decal the airplane. So I didn't need it, but why not? So let's get back to work. Midway through about all the parts at once. So I'm trying to jump between parts so one can dry, move on to the next and not stop. So far today, never had to stop. So right now, I just finished laying up all the carbon fiber layers on our waxed up wingtip to make our new wingtip. And I'm just putting on the pill ply. The pill ply simply goes on, squeegee it tight, pull the resin out. As soon as I finish this, I'm gonna take it, carry it outside, and this is kind of a funny trick. This won't fit in my oven. I just have a small oven. So this is a 2-part epoxy, and it's gonna cure on its own, but I'm gonna just take it and put it in the bed of my truck. It's got black bed liner, and you put it outside, and I can set this thing off, and it will take only a couple hours to completely cure rather than overnight. So it's like a mini oven in the back of my truck in the sun, so it gets really hot. So that's what I'll do. After that gets in the bed of my truck, I've got the gas tank ready to go. I've got my lid for the gas tank all sealed up. The edges left for my high sol joint, and the tank is all finished. We got multiple coats in there, and this is just gonna go on like that. I'll high sol that on. Once that's high soled on, the glue joint is plenty strong enough, but just to be safe, I'll round these edges off, and then I'll wrap glass or carbon all the way around the edge so that this then gets bonded to here. Once that's done, the wingtip can go on here, comes out to make the tip, the light, and then I'll wrap the whole thing in carbon all together so that I have a single piece carbon all the way up around the wingtip, and that'll close it out. But we're getting close. Back to work. this new wax. That worked out perfect. See the inside of that? The wax, perfectly smooth. That will be the new wingtip. And we haven't even hurt the paint, so success. I don't have to repaint my old wingtip. It's good shape. All right, so my tail fork wasn't quite strong enough. It was for a lighter weight bush plane. Of course, you can't buy one for Draco. So this is the new drawing of a stronger tail fork assembly. I made a really big one for my giant tail wheel. It's about an 18-inch tire. This is for my 12-inch tire, and I have a quick interchange. Right here, I've got these 4 bolts, and I made an adapter plate so I can quickly just swap the 4 bolts and change from my sand bush wheel to my traditional bush wheel. So now it's time to cut it, but I think we're good to go. All right, sometimes we get really lucky. This chunk of aluminum right here was part of the giant remnant from cutting out my new wingtip I'm building. So free part, we're gonna cut the points off it and machine it into my new tail wheel fork for my smaller bush wheel. So I'll have 2 different size bush wheels. So we'll get this cut and start turning it into another part. Back to work. All right, the new fork's done. So I'll show you what we did. We lowered the length here because I had way too much clearance on top. Draco's a bit heavy for this fork I had on here. This was one I was able to buy elsewhere, but it's thin here, and if I got on a really heavy side heel and I had a lot of fuel, you could see it flex and almost touch the tire. And I had to make an adapter block right here to get it to fit this fork assembly. Now all this we already made, put a dampener on, but I want to get more angle of attack. So this new fork has been done thicker here, shaved here, dropped this. I don't need the adapter. I matched up a bolt pattern to a permanent plate that's hooked up to a bearing set to my shimmy dampener. So this is going to go right here. That way you can see how much lower it's going to drop the tail of the aircraft, give me more AOA. It's going to be awesome. Let's get it installed. Back to work. All right, I'm leaving for Alaska in a couple days. Time to go. You know, you don't always get it drawn up exactly the way you want. I missed this part. After I got it, it's actually really quite light, very strong new tail assembly, but I realized I could pull this weight out of the middle. So sometimes you grab an old hole saw and knock out a couple ounces. Took 20 minutes, but definitely worth all that extra weight. So I'm gonna go put my fork on. Back to work. Okay, I got my youngest son Dex here, being a professional logo installer. We got Covington Aircraft, who is a fantastic organization. They do my overhauls on my turbine engines. Man, I am really happy with how these wingtips turned out. If you guys ever need a turbine engine overhaul, Covington has been really good to me. But Dex is a stud. Been working late with me, late at night. He was helping me wax the plane last night so we can take it to Alaska and get it dirty. All right, officially done. I got both wingtips on, got all the screws in, everything's torqued. It's pretty awesome to build something out of cut pink foam from the hardware stores, carbon fiber, but it's done. I got to hook up the fuel line, the vent line, put the cap on the top of the wing, and fill it up with gas, go flying. I'm excited. Let's get back to work.